The first time I saw her, she was standing in the rain in front of apartment 3B, clutching her stomach like she'd just survived something no one else would ever understand. She wore a faded hoodie stretched too tightly over her swollen belly, and her hair clung to her cheeks in wet strands that made her look both utterly vulnerable and unreasonably beautiful. I hadn't meant to stare. I was supposed to be grabbing my mail, supposed to be ignoring everyone else like I always did after a 10-hour shift at the gallery. But something about her made my heart pause. Like I knew her. Like I dreamed her. Except in none of my dreams had the woman of my fantasies been visibly pregnant. I turned away too fast, fumbling with my keys, pretending I hadn't just locked eyes with the most heartbreakingly complicated woman I'd ever seen. But it was too late. She spoke. "Do you live here?" Her voice was soft, tired, tinged with something I couldn't name. I glanced back. "Yeah. 3C, she nodded. "I'm 3B, just moved in." I looked at the duffel bag at her feet, soaked through, and the cheap suitcase with one broken wheel. Rough move. She laughed once. A bitter sound. "You could say that. You need help." The words were out before I could stop them. Her eyes met mine again, and something in her expression shifted. Something like hesitation. Like she wasn't used to people asking. Or offering. "You don't have to. I want to," I said. "Really?" She hesitated, then nodded. "Okay. Thank you." We didn't speak much while I helped her carry her things inside. The apartment was bare, just a mattress on the floor, a box of instant ramen on the counter, a single lamp casting yellow light across cracked tile. She didn't look embarrassed, just resigned. "I'm Rose," she said, once the last of her things were inside. "Tess," I said. We stood in silence. If you enjoyed this content and want to support the channel in a special way, try clicking the thanks button below. It's the one with the heart and $ icon. With super thanks, you can make a direct contribution to the channel, which helps me keep creating awesome videos for you. She touched her stomach lightly, almost absently, like she did it without thinking. I glanced at her fingers. No ring. No picture frames on the wall. No signs of anyone else. Just her. And the baby. "You okay?" I asked. "You don't have to answer that, actually. It's none of my business." "It's fine," she said. "It's just been a week." "A bad one?" "One of the worst." "You want company?" I didn't know why I asked. I didn't invite people in. I didn't make small talk with strangers. But she didn't feel like a stranger. She felt like a warning. And I was already ignoring it. "I should rest," she said. "But thank you." "Really?" "Of course." I turned to leave, then hesitated. "If you need anything, I'm right next door." "Thanks, Tess." Her voice wrapped around my name like it belonged there. I couldn't sleep that night. Not because of the rain or the neighbors upstairs fighting again, but because I kept thinking about her. About how she looked at me like she wanted to say more. About how she held her belly like a secret she hadn't chosen. Over the next week, we ran into each other more. In the hallway. At the mailboxes. Once in the elevator, where we stood silently as it groaned between floors, and I tried not to stare at the curve of her stomach. "Is it weird?" she asked suddenly, eyes on the numbers above the door. "Living next to a pregnant stranger?" I looked at her. Not weird. Just unexpected. "Yeah," she said. "That's how it felt when I found out too." "How far along?" 6 months. "Do you have support?" She laughed, but there was no joy in it. "Not really." "Family? Gone." "The father?" Her expression shuddered. "Goner." "I'm sorry. Me too." We didn't speak for the rest of the ride. But when we reached her floor, she turned to me. "Do you want to come over? Just for a bit." "Sure," I said, pretending my heart wasn't doing somersaults. Her apartment still looked bare, but now there were small signs of life. A folded baby onesie on the arm of the chair. A box of prenatal vitamins on the counter. A mug that said "Not a morning person" filled with half-drunk tea. We talked for hours. About nothing. About everything. She told me she used to sing. That she once wanted to be a teacher. That she hated the color pink but bought pink baby socks anyway because they were on sale. I told her I painted, that I worked in a gallery, that I hadn't dated anyone seriously in over 2 years. She didn't ask why. I didn't ask either. But the silence between us felt full, not empty, like it was saving space for something bigger. She fell asleep on the couch before I left. I covered her with a blanket and turned off the lamp. And just before I closed the door behind me, I whispered, "I wish I'd met you sooner." I didn't know if it would have made a difference. I didn't know if I was already too far gone. But I knew one thing with terrifying clarity. This woman, this complicated, heartbroken, fiercely soft woman, was everything I'd ever wanted. Even if she was already carrying someone else's child. Rose started knocking on my door more often. Sometimes it was to borrow sugar or ask about the laundry hours, but sometimes she didn't have a reason at all. She'd lean against my doorframe with that tired smile and say, "I just needed a break from my walls," and I'd step aside like I hadn't been waiting for her all day. Our conversations got longer, deeper. She told me about her hometown, a small place with one gas station and no decent coffee. She told me about her ex-boyfriend, no name, just him. Like, she couldn't bring herself to give him anything more. He'd left when he found out she was pregnant. Disappeared. No calls. No closure. Just a promise broken like it meant nothing. She never cried when she told me these things, but her eyes went far away, and I could see the weight she carried pressing into every word. I wanted to hold her, to take that weight and bury it somewhere it could never find her again. But I didn't, because I knew something else now. One night, we sat on my couch, legs curled under us, an old movie playing in the background neither of us was watching. She laughed at something dumb I said, then caught herself, her face shifting. "You're really easy to talk to," she said. "You make me feel like I can breathe." "I'm glad," I said. She looked at me, her eyes lingering for just a second too long. And I saw it, that spark, that almost. My heart surged. I leaned just a little closer. "Rose," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "Can I?" Her expression changed instantly. Not anger, not fear, just retreat. "Tess," she said softly, "you're amazing, and I care about you. I really do. But I'm not into women." My stomach dropped. She said it like she meant it, like it was a door she'd already locked. "Oh," I said, pulling back quickly. "God, I'm sorry. That was stupid." "No," she said, reaching for my hand. "It wasn't stupid. I see why you thought. We've been spending so much time together, and I'm probably sending mixed signals. I've only ever been with men. I've never even thought about," she trailed off. I nodded. "It's fine. I won't make things weird." She smiled, a little relieved. "I really value you, Tess. As a friend. A real one. You've been here for me more than anyone." Friend. The word hit like a slap, even though she said it gently. I forced a smile. Same. She stayed a little longer that night. We talked about the movie. She laughed at my terrible impression of the lead actor, but something in me had gone still. I told myself I could handle it, that I could push it down, bury it like I'd buried so many things. But when she left and I closed the door behind her, I slid down to the floor and stared at the wood for a long time. I had fallen for her. Completely. And now I had to pretend I hadn't. Over the next few days, I tried to pull back. Not enough for her to notice, but enough to protect myself. I didn't linger in the hallway anymore. I didn't text her unless she texted first. But she noticed anyway. "Are you okay?" she asked one morning at the mailboxes. "Just tired," I lied. "Work's been non-stop." "You sure?" "Totally." But my voice didn't sound like me. And hers didn't sound convinced. She invited me over again. I said I had plans. She brought me cookies she'd tried to bake. I thanked her, then shut the door too quickly. It hurt. Every part of it. Loving someone who didn't love you back was one thing. But loving someone who didn't even see that kind of love as possible? That was something else. But I couldn't stay away forever. One night, I heard her crying through the wall. Muffled, quiet, but unmistakable. I hesitated. Then I went to her door and knocked. She opened it with swollen eyes and a trembling voice. "It's just the hormones," she said. "And maybe the fact that I don't know what the hell I'm doing." I stepped inside without a word. She sat on the couch, holding her stomach like it was both a blessing and a curse. "I'm scared," she whispered. "All the time. What if I can't do this? What if I'm a terrible mom?" I sat beside her. "You're already doing it," I said. "You're fighting for this baby every day. That's what being a good mom looks like." She leaned her head on my shoulder. "I don't want to do it alone." "You're not. You say that now. But I'm a mess. And I can't give you what you want." I turned to her. "Rose, I never wanted anything from you. I just want you to be okay. Even if I can't love you back?" My throat tightened. "Even then." She closed her eyes. "I don't deserve you. Maybe not. But I'm here anyway." She fell asleep like that, curled into me, trusting me with everything except her heart. And I let her. Because sometimes loving someone meant standing quietly beside them, even when they didn't know how to love you back. Even when they might never learn. It had been a week since the night Rose fell asleep in my arms, and everything since then felt both too much and not enough. I saw her nearly every day. Sometimes she'd knock with that gentle smile, asking to borrow some tea, or just to talk. Sometimes I'd find little notes slid under my door, movie night, or guess who burned toast again? She acted like nothing had changed, like our almost moment had dissolved into the air without consequence. But for me, it hadn't. Every second near her felt like I was holding my breath, waiting for a fire I knew I wasn't allowed to want. I told myself I could live with it, that I could be her friend, her anchor, her safe place. But some nights, when she was quiet or touched my arm without thinking, I'd feel that familiar ache pulse through me and wonder how long I could pretend it didn't hurt. I hadn't seen her in 2 days. She said she was feeling tired, and I gave her space. But on the 3rd day, I baked her favorite muffins, blueberry, slightly burnt because I was distracted the whole time, and headed to her apartment. I knocked. No answer. I figured she might be asleep, but the hallway smelled like her perfume and something else, something masculine. Cologne. I hesitated, then tried the doorknob. It was unlocked. "Rose," I called gently, pushing the door open. And then I froze. She wasn't alone. A man sat on the couch beside her, his arm casually draped behind her shoulders, his legs stretched out like he belonged there. He looked polished, confident, too comfortable. Rose looked up, startled. Her eyes widened. "Tess," she said, her voice cracking slightly. I didn't hear. The man turned. "Hey," he said with a smile that made my skin crawl. "You must be the neighbor."
Yeah, sorry."
I held up the bag of muffins like a shield. "Brought these. I turned before she could say anything else, heart slamming so hard I thought I'd choke on it. I didn't run, but I wanted to. I walked stiffly back to my apartment, shut the door, and stared at it like it might erase what I'd seen. I sat on the floor with the muffins beside me, untouched. My chest felt like it had caved in. Of course she had a guy over. Of course she did. She was beautiful, kind, vibrant. She had every right. And she had made it clear. She wasn't into women. I was the idiot who thought maybe, that something in her eyes meant more. I was wrong. Hours passed. The sky outside turned pink, then dark. I ignored the knock at my door. Then a second. Then a third. Finally, I opened it. Rose stood there, arms folded, face tight. "Can I come in?" "Sure," I said, stepping aside. She walked in slowly, looked around like she needed to find her footing. "You don't have to explain," I said quickly. "You're allowed to have company. It's your life." That wasn't just company. I waited. "That was Derek," she said finally. "My ex." My heart stumbled. "The father?" "Yes." Silence stretched between us. Why was he here?
He said he wanted to talk.
That he'd changed. That he wanted to step up. Do you believe him? Her jaw tightened. "I don't know. Do you want him to?" She didn't answer. just sat on the couch, her hands folded over her belly. When I saw your face, Tess, I didn't realize it would feel like that. Like what? Like I just lost something I didn't know I had. I turned slowly. What are you talking about?
You. Us.
This whatever it is. She stood and started pacing. I thought I knew who I was. I've never been with a woman. I've never even considered it. But then you showed up with muffins and laughter and quiet comfort, and suddenly the rules stopped making sense. Rose, when you walked in and saw him, the way my heart dropped, it wasn't about him. It was about you. I didn't want you to think I chose him, but you invited him in. I was scared, she snapped. Everything is terrifying right now. I don't know what I'm doing. And he offered familiarity. But you, she looked at me, eyes shining. You offer truth. And that's a lot harder to face. I stepped closer, slowly, like approaching something fragile. Do you feel something for me?
She didn't speak.
Just nodded. Barely. My breath caught. You said you weren't into women. Maybe I was wrong. I was shaking. This isn't a game, Rose. I know. I'm not just here to be your emotional backup. I know that too. So, what do you want? She looked at me, and her expression broke something in me. So vulnerable, so raw. I want to stop lying to myself. I didn't kiss her. I couldn't. Not yet. But I reached for her hand. She let me take it. And we stood there, fingers entwined, no promises, just a single fragile truth between us. Something had changed. And maybe, just maybe, it wasn't too late. After that night, everything between us changed. Not in the loud, dramatic way I expected, but in small, sharp ways that left me breathless.
Rose didn't apologize for what she said.
She didn't backtrack or laugh it off. She didn't pretend it hadn't happened. Instead, she kept showing up. For 3 days, she brought me things.
A book she thought I'd like.
A sandwich when she knew I hadn't eaten. A playlist she made and named for when your heart feels like a fist. She didn't say it out loud, but I knew it was her way of holding out a hand across the impossible space between us. And I, like the fool I'd always been for her, took it. But we didn't talk about what she'd said. Not directly. We circled it like a flame, close enough to feel the heat, never brave enough to touch it. One night, I was painting in my living room when she knocked, breathless, flushed, holding a tub of ice cream like it was sacred. Emergency, she said. I forgot how terrible daytime TV is, and I need to distract myself before I throw my remote through the wall. I opened the door without hesitation. Come in. Save the remote. She plopped onto my couch with the dramatic flair of someone trying to mask 1,000 thoughts. Her shirt rode up slightly over her belly, and she made no move to fix it. She caught me looking, didn't say a word, just smiled. We ate the ice cream from the container, passing it back and forth like a ritual. She leaned against me, just barely, her shoulder touching mine. The warmth of her skin felt like a brand. You ever think about names? I asked, trying to distract myself. Every day, she said. Today it's Juniper. Yesterday it was Eliza. They're beautiful. You think it's weird I'm doing this alone?
No.
I think it's brave. You'd say that about anything I did. Only if it's true. She tilted her head to look at me, her expression soft. You always know how to say the right thing. You make it easy. Silence fell, thick with words we didn't say. Her fingers twitched, brushing against mine. I didn't pull away.
Neither did she.
But still, no kiss. No declarations. Just tension, stretched so tightly between us, I thought we might snap. Another day, we walked to the corner market together. She needed oranges. I needed air. On the way back, she tripped slightly on the curb, and I reached out to steady her. My hands landed on her waist, her hands on my shoulders, our faces inches apart. Her breath caught.
So did mine.
I felt her eyes on my mouth. I wanted more than anything to close the space, but I didn't. I stepped back.
So did she.
We walked home in silence, the air between us charged like a live wire. She didn't knock on my door that night. I didn't sleep. The next morning, she texted, "Come over."
Please.
I went without hesitation. She was curled up on the couch in her robe, hair tied up messily, glasses slightly crooked. I had never wanted her more. "What's wrong?" I asked. The baby was kicking. A lot. It scared me. I didn't want to be alone. I sat beside her. Without asking, I placed my hand gently on her stomach. She flinched at first, then melted into it. "She knows when you're here," she whispered. "She kicks harder. Like she hears you." My throat tightened. "She's going to be incredible. Just like her mom." "Tess," her voice cracked. She turned toward me, our faces close again. Too close. Her eyes searched mine, vulnerable, lost. "I don't know what this is," she said. "What I'm feeling. It doesn't make sense." "It doesn't have to," I whispered. "It just has to be real."
She leaned in.
Just a breath closer. Her hand touched my jaw, soft, reverent. I thought this was it. That finally, but her phone rang.
Loud.
Sharp. She jumped. So did I. She answered without looking. "Yeah." A pause. Her face changed.
What?
"When?" Another pause. "Okay. I'll be there." She hung up, eyes wide. "Derek's in the ear." "What?" "He was in a car accident. They called me because I'm listed as his emergency contact." "Are you going?" She nodded slowly. "I have to." Of course she did. I didn't argue. I helped her find her shoes, held her coat while she got dressed. But when she reached the door, she hesitated, turned back. "Will you be here when I get back?" I nodded. "Always." She left, and I sat in her empty apartment, heart pounding, wondering what the hell I was doing. But I stayed. Because that's what love looks like sometimes. Not fireworks or kisses or declarations. But waiting. Without knowing what comes next. I waited. I sat on her couch for hours, surrounded by the scent of her vanilla lotion and half-read books, letting the ticking of her old wall clock scrape against my nerves. Every few minutes, I'd glance at the door, imagining the sound of her key, the fall of her steps, her voice saying, "Thank you for waiting." But she didn't come. Not that night. Not the next morning either. I went back to my apartment, my heart heavy and sore, but still hoping. Around noon, I heard her door. I opened mine instinctively. She stood there in the hallway, eyes red-rimmed, exhaustion painted across her features. "Hey," she said, her voice hoarse. "Hey," I replied, softer than I meant to. "How is he?" "Stable. They're keeping him for observation. He'll be fine." "You stayed overnight?" She nodded. I didn't plan to, but he was scared. Alone. I tried not to flinch. "I get it." She stepped closer. "Tess, I didn't forget you were there. I kept thinking about you. The whole time." "It's okay, I lied. You did what you had to do." "Don't do that," she said sharply. "Don't pretend this doesn't hurt." I looked at her, surprised. "You think I want to feel this?" "I don't know what I think. I just know that the moment I saw you holding your coat, waiting for me to walk out that door, I wanted to run back to you." "Then why didn't you?" "Because I'm scared," she said. "Because everything in my life is chaos, and you're the only thing that makes sense. And I don't know how to be near you without wanting everything I'm not sure I can give." I stepped forward slowly. "Then don't give anything yet. Just stay." She closed the space between us. Our foreheads touched. Her breath trembled against my skin. But still, no kiss. Just tension. 1,000 unsaid words suspended in air. "I need a shower," she whispered, stepping back. "I feel like I've been awake for a decade."
Go.
"I'll make tea." "Stay." "Always." I made the tea while she showered. I listened to the water, imagined her standing under it, eyes closed, trying to wash away more than exhaustion. When she came out, she wore one of my hoodies, the one I'd left at her place weeks ago. It hung on her like it had found its true shape. She curled onto the couch, tea in hand, legs tucked beneath her, and sighed. "I used to think love was supposed to be easy," she said. "And now Now I think it's supposed to be honest. I sat beside her. Close, but not touching. Do you want him back? I don't know. Part of me wants to believe he's changed. That he means it this time. But, when I picture my life, the one I want, the quiet mornings, the late night talks, someone to sit beside me in the delivery room, I see you. My chest tightened. Then what's stopping you? Everything, she said.
Fear. Guilt.
Habit. I can't fight him for you, Rose. I'm not asking you to, but I can't keep pretending this doesn't matter. I know.
So decide. Soon.
Because I can't keep being your almost. She nodded slowly. I don't want to lose you. Then don't. We sat in silence. Her head eventually rested on my shoulder. I didn't move. I didn't speak. I just let her be there. Later that night, I walked her to her door. She turned to face me in the hallway, her expression unreadable. Good night, she said. Good night. She hesitated. Thank you. For staying. You don't have to thank me for loving you. Her breath caught. Tess, it's okay. You don't have to say it. Just know it. She stepped inside. Closed the door. I stood there for a long time. On the other side, I imagine her leaning against it, heart racing like mine. But still, no kiss. No promises. Just this fragile thing between us, stretching thinner by the day. I didn't sleep. Again. The next morning, I woke to a knock. Rose stood there, hair tangled, eyes wild.
He asked to move in, she said.
He wants to be here. For the baby. And I said no. Why? She stepped forward. Because I realized something. What? I want to build this life myself. On my own terms. And maybe with you. I couldn't breathe. Rose. Not yet. I still need time. But I wanted you to know. You're not my backup. You're the one I want beside me when I figure all of this out. My hand found hers. Our fingers tangled. Still no kiss. But maybe we didn't need one yet. Maybe this was better.
Slower.
Truer.
Real.
The days blurred together after that. Rose became quieter, but not distant. It was like she was turning inward, holding something heavy that words couldn't quite carry. I didn't push. I stayed close, present but gentle, her steady ground when everything else was shifting. Her belly was more pronounced now, and I caught her more often cradling it absent-mindedly, like she was trying to remind herself she wasn't alone, even when loneliness clung to her like fog. One evening, we sat on my couch watching the storm outside, thunder rolling low through the city like a warning. She leaned into me, soft and slow, and I could feel her breath against my neck. Do you ever think, she said quietly, that maybe I'm not strong enough for this? I turned to her. What do you mean? This baby. This life. I keep imagining the crying, the sleepless nights, the decisions I'm not ready for. What if I mess it all up before she even gets a chance? I reached for her hand. You won't. You already love her. That's more than a lot of kids get. But I'm not married. I'm not rich. I'm not stable. I'm barely figuring out who I am. None of those things make you a mother, Rose. Love does. And you're full of it. Her eyes filled. It's so much. My body hurts. My back is on fire half the time. I cry over cereal commercials. I feel like I'm breaking in 10 directions and pretending it's fine so no one leaves. I'm not going anywhere, I said. Even if you scream, cry, or throw cereal boxes at the wall. That made her laugh, and it cracked something in the air, something that had been pressing in on us both. She rested her head on my shoulder again. Sometimes I wish you were the father. My breath caught. Why? Because you care. Because you show up. Because you make me feel like I'm not failing. You're not. But I feel like I am. You're allowed to feel that. And I'll still be here when you do. She didn't answer, but her hand found mine and stayed there. The next day, everything cracked. Derek showed up. Again. I heard the knock from my apartment and instinctively opened my door just enough to see him standing in hers, voice raised. You're lying, he was saying. I saw you. You're with her, aren't you? Rose stood firm, arms crossed protectively in front of her belly. I'm not with anyone, Derek. But if I were, it wouldn't be any of your business. She's always here, always hanging around like some pathetic puppy waiting for scraps. It's disgusting. My fists clenched. I stepped into the hallway. Is there a problem? I asked calmly, dangerously. Derek turned to me, eyes cold. Of course. There you are. You just can't help yourself, can you? She doesn't owe you anything, I said. She asked you to leave her alone. And who the hell are you? He snapped. The babysitter? The emotional crutch. I'm the one who's been here. Every day. While you vanished. He stepped closer, aggression radiating off him like heat. You think you can just slide into her life? Replace me? That's my kid. Then maybe you should start acting like a father instead of a threat. He lunged, not to hit me, but to intimidate. His body crowded into my space, fists twitching. Rose gasped behind him. Derek, stop it. You think she wants you? He hissed. You're nothing but a distraction. A phase. She'll snap out of it. That's enough. Her voice cut through the air like a blade. We both turned. She stood tall, fire in her eyes, hand on her belly like a warning. Get out. Rose, now. He looked at her. Really looked. Then at me. And for a second, I saw the fear beneath his anger. The realization that he had already lost. He left without another word, slamming the door behind him. The silence that followed was deafening. I turned to her. Are you okay?
No, she said.
But I will be. Do you want me to stay? Yes. I stepped forward slowly. She didn't pull away. Her eyes met mine, full of 1,000 questions and one terrifying truth. He was right about one thing, she whispered. You are always here. Because I want to be. Even after all this? Especially after all this. Her hand brushed my arm, fingers trembling. We were close now. So close. Her breath mingled with mine. But still, no kiss. She looked at me with something raw and unguarded. I think I'm falling, Tess. And it scares the hell out of me. Me too. She wrapped her arms around me. I held her tightly, feeling her heartbeat against mine. And for that moment, we didn't need to define anything. We just needed to exist together. The day after Derek stormed out, the air in the apartment changed. Not in a dramatic way, but subtly, like something had shifted beneath the surface, like tectonic plates finally sliding into place. Rose was quieter that morning. Not withdrawn, just contemplative. She sat at my kitchen table in one of my oversized sweatshirts, cradling a cup of tea like it held answers. I watched her from across the room, memorizing the soft line of her profile, the way her hand curled instinctively over her belly every time she drifted into thought. Did you sleep? I asked gently. A little, she murmured. The baby kicked all night. She's stubborn. I smiled, just like her mother. Rose's lips curved, but there was something distant in her eyes. Tess. Yeah, last night, when you stood up to him. I've never seen anyone do that for me. You deserve that. And more. I'm not used to being chosen like that. Not without conditions. Then get used to it. She looked at me then, really looked, and I could see the war waging behind her eyes. Love and fear. Need and uncertainty. I walked to her slowly, took the mug from her hands, and set it aside. Then I knelt in front of her. You don't have to decide anything today, I said softly. But I need you to know, this isn't temporary for me. I'm not here because I feel sorry for you. I'm here because I want to be. Because I'm falling in love with you, even if you're not ready for what that means. Her breath caught. Her hand reached up, trembling, and brushed my hair back from my face. She cupped my cheek, her thumb moving gently over my skin. What if I want this? She whispered. What if I want you? Then I'm yours. But I'm still scared. So am I. What if I mess this up? Then we'll figure it out. Together. Her eyes filled, and she pulled me into her arms. I wrapped mine around her waist, feeling the curve of her belly press between us. We stayed like that for a long time, silent, breathing each other in, hearts sinking without a single word. That afternoon, she asked me to help her rearrange her furniture. Nesting, she explained, a little embarrassed. Apparently, it's a thing. We moved the crib into the corner by the window. I helped hang tiny clothes on a line above the changing table. She caught me folding a pink onesie and laughed. I thought you didn't do soft. I do now. As we worked, our hands brushed again and again. Every time, something electric passed between us. At one point, she turned suddenly, and we nearly collided, faces inches apart. She froze. So did I. My breath hitched. Her eyes dropped to my lips. For a second, I thought she might finally close the distance. But she didn't. Instead, she whispered, "Not yet." I nodded. Okay. That night, we lay on her couch watching the ceiling, our hands intertwined. She rested her head on my shoulder, one leg draped lazily over mine. "Do you ever think about what it'll be like?" she asked.
What?
"When she's here. The crying, the chaos, the joy. All the time. It terrifies me. It terrifies me too. But I also can't wait." She looked at me then. "You say we like it's already decided. Isn't it? I don't know. Is it?" I sat up, facing her fully. "Rose, I'm here. I'm not asking for promises or labels. But if you let me stay, I'll love her like she's mine. And I'll love you like you're everything." Her eyes filled again. "You make it sound so easy. It's not, but it's worth it." She leaned in, forehead resting against mine. Our breaths tangled. Our lips hovered, so close I could taste the promise in the air. But again, she pulled back. Just slightly. "I need time," she whispered. "I know. I need to be sure. I'm not going anywhere." Her fingers laced with mine. "Thank you. Always." And even though we didn't kiss, I had never felt closer to her than in that moment. Because sometimes love isn't loud. Sometimes it's just staying, choosing, breathing together when everything else feels like too much. That night, she fell asleep in my bed, curled into me like she belonged there. And even though we hadn't crossed that final line, I knew something had already shifted. She wasn't running anymore. And I wasn't hoping anymore. We were building something, slowly, quietly, truly. The air in Rose's apartment was charged with quiet electricity the moment I stepped inside. She closed the door behind me gently, eyes flickering to the soft light spilling from the living room lamp. The evening had shifted, something in her posture, her gaze, like she'd been holding herself together and was ready to fall apart, or fall into me. We had spent the afternoon assembling the crib, folding tiny clothes, painting the nursery a soft sage green. We hadn't kissed. Not once. But every glance, every brush of skin against skin, carried an undertow of longing that pulled me toward her. She stood at the window, watching the dusk settle behind the city skyline. I slipped next to her, our shoulders touching. She didn't flinch. I could feel her breathing in unison with mine. It was enough until it wasn't. "Tess," she said quietly. I looked at her. "Yeah." Her voice trembled, filled with a mix of anticipation and fear. "Can you hold me?" My heart seized. I reached for her. As my arms closed around her waist, she pressed her forehead to mine. We stood there, two hearts beating fast, bodies pressed close enough to feel each other's warmth. I wrapped my arms more firmly around her, breath trembling. "I've wanted this closeness for so long," I whispered. She didn't respond. Instead, her hand slid slowly up my back, fingers brushing the nape of my neck, coaxing my cheek to tilt toward hers. Our lips met, softly at first, a gentle question. Then deeper, more insistent, like a confession we'd both been too afraid to speak aloud. It was more than a kiss. It was a union of everything we'd built. Fear, longing, sacrifice, hope. I felt her lean into me, arms tightening, and I knew she was giving in. She tasted of tea and nervous sweetness, her lips trembling against mine. When we finally broke apart, the world outside had grown dark. We rested our foreheads together. Her eyes glistened. "That was more than I ever dared hope," she whispered. "Me too," I said, voice thick. Something profound had shifted. We moved to the couch and collapsed into each other's embrace. No words, just soft kisses, tender touches along her belly and my cheek, the warmth of us finding its first true home. We stayed like that through the night, weaving ourselves closer in body and soul. When dawn finally crept in, she stirred in my arms, small and fragile. She pressed her lips to my collarbone. "I love you," she murmured. Nothing had ever felt so real. Nothing so right. For the first time, we faced the future with our souls intertwined, ready to build something brave and true forever. Morning light streamed through the curtains, illuminating Rose's peaceful face as she slept curled into me, and I lay awake, heart pounding, thinking of how last night's first real kiss changed everything. My mind raced between hope and fear, hope that love could survive this tangled life, and fear that the world would tear it apart. I kissed her forehead before she stirred, her eyes opening with a sleepy smile that made my chest ache. We moved through breakfast in reverent silence, aware that our quiet, ordinary moments were infused with staggering significance. I filled her mug, slid my hand into hers, and felt the weight of our bond deepen. I loved her. I loved us. But just as I dared to breathe, there came a knock on the door, urgent, insistent, and my heart sank. Derek's silhouette appeared when I cracked it open. His face was pale, his posture awkward, like a man unsteady on his own admission. "Tess," he said, voice a low tremor. I stepped aside. Rose emerged from the bedroom, bump already evident under her sweater. Derek's eyes flicked between us, and I felt a swell of protectiveness surge through me. "Hi," she said quietly, tension sharpening around her. He hesitated, then said, "I'm sorry to come back like this." Her expression steadied. She squared her shoulders. He swallowed and said, "I need to see her."
The baby. It was a plea more than a demand.
Rose's gaze softened, then strengthened. "I know you want to be involved," she replied, voice firm. "But you can't just show up unannounced." His shoulders slumped. "I screwed up," he said, eyes wet. "I lost you, and I hated losing my chance to be a father." He swallowed, and I stepped forward. "If you want to be there, you have to do it right, not by barging in and intimidating us." Derek's face twisted with shame and hope. "I don't want to lose her or the baby." He looked at Rose and then me. "And, Tess, thank you for protecting them." My skin prickled at his laid-bare apology. Rose held my gaze, tears glinting. "You have a chance, but only if you learn to respect boundaries. Show up when asked, not when you're trying to fix your guilt." She turned back to him. "Can you do that?" Derek nodded, voice choked. "I'll prove it." He allowed himself to be ushered to the door, paused, looked at Rose again, then me, and whispered, "Thank you." He left. The door closed, and the apartment felt suddenly sacred again. Rose stepped to me, trembling. I wrapped her in my arms, breath warm on her neck. "You are amazing," I whispered. She shook. "I hate how complicated everything is." I pressed her belly. Baby stirred against my hand, a reminder that this wasn't just about us. It was living love. "We're making it right," I promised softly. She pulled back, brushing her lips across my cheek, then staring into my eyes. "I'm scared," she said. "I'm terrified." "Me too," I admitted, my voice low but strong. I touched her face. "But I love you. I love her. And that's the start." She closed the distance between us, pressing her lips to mine in a kiss that was quiet and consuming, the kind you give when you make a vow to fight for love. We melted together, hearts racing, bodies entwining, the vulnerability in our embrace deeper than any words. When we finally rested, cheeks pressed, we felt alive, cautious, hopeful, and utterly together. We sat on the couch, Rose leaning into me, and looked ahead past tonight into a future that felt infinitely less terrifying with each other in it. We didn't know how it would unfold, Parenting plans, cohabiting, grammar school years, hospital scares. But we had made our first unbreakable covenant. I held her hand, rested a tender kiss on her bump, and whispered, "We'll face everything together." She closed her eyes and whispered back, "Together." And in that truthful promise, we found something more powerful than fear, a love propelled forward, not by perfection, but by endurance, by choosing each other again, every single day. Morning light filled our small flat above the bakery, birds calling to herald a new chapter. I woke first, tracing the curve of Rose's belly naked beneath the quilt, inhaling the warmth of her skin. Next to me, Tess stirred, eyes opening with that soft glow I had come to rely on. We lay in each other's arms, an unspoken prayer binding our breaths. Today was moving day into the renovated starter home we'd found near the hospital where Rose saw her doctor. 5 weeks before her due date, with uncertain finances and Derek's co-parenting still fragile, but with love fierce enough to light endless corridors of doubt. I kissed Tess's forehead. "Ready," I whispered. She nodded. "With you, always." In the kitchen, Rose worked gently, packing a last box with the baby's handmade quilt, the tiny booties Tess had bought. I placed my hand on her back, feeling each breath and the life inside her shifting. Our small fortress of love looked sparse in moving boxes, but it pulsed with promise. At the door, Derek arrived quietly. He handed over the hospital-approved baby seat, piece by piece, and I recognized the trembling apology in his hands. Rose took it gently, voice steady. "Thank you for this and for respecting my wish." He nodded, eyes kind now. "I mean it. I want to be a good dad." Tess stepped forward, offering a firm handshake and then a hug when he hesitated. "We're building something healthy," she said, true as steel. Derek closed his eyes briefly, as though releasing something. "I'll walk with you," he said to Rose, "to show you I can." She accepted, her hand in his, and I followed behind as they lifted the crib board into my car. The trunk shut, an emblem of changed lives. We piled into my car, boxes, car seat, heartbeats magnified. There was no question of who would ride shotgun with Rose. We drove the leafy route to our new place in companionable silence. At the door, Tess found the keys in a ribboned envelope tagged "Our Home." Rose hugged her fiercely. "You did this," she whispered, voice thick. "We did this," Tess corrected, tears in her eyes. Inside, the house was small, sunlight spilling through tall windows. We assembled the crib, set up a standing lamp, hung baby pictures, one of Tess holding booties, one of Rose laughing at a sonogram echo. We stopped in the empty living room, hearts pounding. Tess took Rose's hand. "We promised to choose this," she said softly. "Every day." "I know," Rose replied, voice trembling. "And I promise to choose you, too." She reached for Tess's face, fingertips trembling. "Thank you for loving me, for loving her." Tess brushed her lips across Rose's forehead. "Always." Rose's phone chimed, an ultrasound picture from the doctor. Baby's face visible now, little hands curled. She held it to Tess's chest. We both cried quietly, the future stretching soft before us. That night, we lay at the foot of the crib, shadows blending across the walls, hearts taut as harp strings. Rose closed her eyes. "I'm ready," she breathed. Tess pressed her hand to Rose's belly. "We all are." In that fragile piece, a tiny kick answered. A whisper of life, of victory. The love we had fought for, hallowed in fear and hope, thrived in the hush between our breaths. Long after the world began to press in diapers, schedules, bills, we would guard this love. Because we knew what mattered, not ease or perfection, but choosing each other nightly and morning, over and over, like breathing. We closed our eyes together, 3 souls tethered, and dreamed of lullabies and laughter, of scraped knees and whispered bedtime prayers. A family built on resilience, trust, and the love that turned 2 fragile hearts into a home. Thank you so much for your support, whether it's by liking, commenting, sharing, or sending your super thanks. You make all the difference here on the channel. See you in the next video.